Welcome back, everybody. This is Tucker. Let's talk weather. We've finally made it through the severe weather outbreak, and if you're wondering where the leftover rain is, well, it's above my head, actually. You can see it on radar on the East Coast. This is what is the remnant of the severe weather, and it is moving off and away. As we get into this new week, though, we're trading those severe weather concerns for winter weather concerns and also more fire weather threats. And we're going to talk about where the heaviest snow is going to fall and where that fire weather threat cannot be discounted at all. Additionally, I have an update on temperatures, which, given we're in March, are going to continue to fluctuate a lot. So let's plan out your week ahead here too. As a meteorologist, I'm always looking forward, but there are some important times to look back, and I do want to take a quick look back here before we get into the forecast at the severe weather that we just experienced. And you're looking at the storm reports from the Storm Prediction Center. Any of those blue colors, those are your damaging wind reports. Green indicates large hail, and red, of course, indicates tornadoes. Of course, Friday was a very devastating day, especially for portions of northern Arkansas and southern Missouri. I know we've had over 3 dozen dead now in the past 2 days from this event, which you can see produced a lot of tornadoes in southern Missouri, northern Arkansas. If you throw on the impacts from Saturday as well, you can see several tornado reports across Mississippi, especially, and quite a few in Alabama as well. And even though this did actually underperform, it was still a very significant weather event. And of course, we still had more storm reports that came in from our Sunday portion of this event, mainly damaging wind, though we are likely to see these tornado numbers increase because we're still getting surveys in from the National Weather Service. But of course, very devastating events. Make sure to keep those impacted in your thoughts, and make sure you yourself are staying weather savvy and ready, because this is just the start of what is seemingly going to be an active severe weather season. Now I'm going to walk you through the big picture. We'll break down where some specific impacts are, then we'll zero in on them. But let's just give you the overview here. We're starting with today, Monday, and what you're seeing is a couple different weather systems moving through. First of all, you can see that rain, which is going to linger on the East Coast for a bit. That's going to drop a good 2 inches across portions of New England. We're also seeing snowfall, especially in the higher terrain, those mountains in the western U.S., indicated by those blue colors here. And this is taking us into Tuesday as well. But I also want you to begin to note this low pressure system right here, circling it for you out west. That's our next big weather maker, so we only make it a couple days before things are likely to get active again. And you're seeing as we get later into Tuesday, that system, you're seeing more of those black lines, those isobars surround it. That is, first of all, an indication of some strong wind, and it is going to be very windy in the west as we head into Monday and Tuesday. And even the Midwest, too, is going to get windy on Tuesday and Wednesday. But you're also seeing that snow become more consolidated, and this will become our next winter storm, which is set to impact a good chunk of the central U.S., and you can see it, especially here on Wednesday, really developing into a powerful system. There will also be some rain with this as this becomes more mature. You're seeing as we move into Thursday, those showers and storms begin to develop across the Midwest and the South, and there is a low chance for severe weather with any of those storms. A low chance, though. We're talking very low damaging wind, tornado, a large hail threat, nothing significant, but it is something to note. As we head into Thursday and Friday, we see the system begin to move into Canada, but that front beneath it is going to move across the eastern U.S., and that will at least bring some changes to the temperatures as well, and also the potential for some snow in the northeast as well, primarily in the higher elevations, but the possibility is there. And then eventually our next system will potentially, we'll have to watch this one, but it may develop next weekend. So a couple things to go back and take a look at here. I'm going to bring us right here to the start of the week. This is Tuesday when our system begins to develop. There's going to be a lot of wind, like I said, and a lot of dry air in the south and western and central U.S. That's where we're going to have a larger wildfire threat. And of course, you saw the heavy snow. We're going to talk about the snowfall too. So let's jump into that wildfire risk, and I'm going to get to our snowfall amounts coming up right now. By the way, if you aren't already subscribed, be sure to do so, because we're covering any severe weather outbreak live for you here. And I also provide these regular updates so you can stay ahead of the storms, which is really important for safety and just for, making sure you can plan your week. Also, drop any questions you have in the comments. I'm a meteorologist. I love talking weather, and I'm happy to answer any complex weather or science questions you have. So here's that fire weather risk, and you can see it's no joke. This is a very wide area reaching from Denver down into south central Texas and as far to the east as Tulsa, Oklahoma. Anyone shaded in that red color, that's your critical risk. And I should mention the general fire threat goes as far north as South Dakota and as far east as central Missouri and Iowa. So our concern again is that strong wind and the dry air, and we already saw again devastating fire weather impacts in Texas and Oklahoma behind these severe storms. That honestly has not been talked about enough, but look up Stillwater, Oklahoma. I mean, really big devastation from fires. So this is no joke. You do need to take this fire weather threat seriously. The best way to do that, make sure there's no debris, leaves and stuff sitting in your yard that may burn easily, and other sorts of things that can easily catch fire. You got to really be careful with that. That was the old forecast for Monday. Here's our forecast as we get into Tuesday and onwards here, and our concern is largely going to be the threat for wildfires to continue to be high as we look across Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, New Mexico, Colorado. And, it wouldn't surprise me if we end up seeing a more broad threat, kind of like we saw before, painted something like this out here. So as we head through these first few days of the week, especially, we're going to have that high fire weather risk. And remember I mentioned on the weekend we may see another storm system develop. As that occurs, you can already see this outlined region for the next potential fire weather threat, which is likely to increase as that system brings more wind. So this is something that you really can't disregard, and if you live in any of these spots, it's something you unfortunately do need to pay close attention to. But as I mentioned, it's just one part of our threat this week. Let's talk winter weather and how much snow is about to fall. Once again, I'll go over timeline real quick here. Tuesday, you can see snow falling in the mountains, and as we move this forward, you see our storm really start to develop on Wednesday, with heavy snow falling from Kansas as far north and east as Wisconsin and the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. The system moves quickly though. It's going to be in and out fast, and eventually it will bring a little bit of snow to the mountains in northern New England on Friday before being completely out of here. But how much snow actually falls is the question. I'm going to take you to our European model first, and I believe it has a good handle on this storm. And what you're seeing is a very narrow band of snowfall here that takes us into Canada. Anywhere you're seeing those dark blue colors, that's where you have a pretty good baseline 3-inch snow expectancy. Anywhere you're seeing those purple colors, that's a pretty good baseline for at least 6. The potential for up to a foot, I believe, is pretty low, though, just because, again, it is a quicker moving system. But you have heavy snow from Kansas, central Kansas, through Nebraska, especially the eastern half of the state. And then it gets pretty narrow, but you can see northern Iowa and southern Minnesota could be one of the bullseyes. But the best place, the best bet for snow this week is going to be in Wisconsin and the Upper Peninsula of Michigan especially, where we're going to see a more widespread 6-inch snowfall. The Upper Peninsula is the one spot that could see perhaps up to a foot in a spot or two. In addition to some of the mountains here in New England, you can see where we have those purple colors. That's mainly higher elevation, where we could see a 6-inch snowfall as well. But into southern New England, I believe it'll be a lot harder to get the accumulating snow. I'll give you one other weather model here. It's painting a picture that's pretty similar. Again, you can see that snow falling heavily from Kansas into Wisconsin. It is a little more bullish on that snow near the Upper Peninsula, like I mentioned, and a little more bearish on the snow in the mountains in northern New England, which again, the system will be weak as it goes through there. So a little bit of an extra extension for ski country, just a little bit in New England, but generally speaking, you should be preparing to shovel snow if you're in Iowa, Minnesota, at least the northern and southern portions of those states, Wisconsin, the Upper Peninsula, and even parts of Nebraska and Kansas as well. Wanted to give you a look at these spring-like temperatures before we wrap things up, and I'll mention the central part of the U.S. on your Monday is going to be very mild. We could see 80s as far north as Nebraska and 70s into the Dakotas, in fact, so it's going to be nice and mild where you're seeing those red colors. Elsewhere, it's near average or kind of cold if you're in the west. Here are our temperatures on Tuesday, still mild in the same spots. The east looks pretty mild here too, but the west is going to be on the chilly side of things without a doubt. And you can see that cold air coming in into Wednesday as well. That's why we even have the chance for snow. Now that system is going to bring a pretty sharp temperature gradient. The interesting thing about Wednesday is that you could be in the 70s in Illinois, and one state over in Iowa, you could easily be in the 30s, even 20s. So that's going to be a big weather story there. And you can see this cold air will continue to proceed to push onto the East Coast. So the East Coast stays mild through Thursday, but we'll see a bit of cooling into the weekend. The West just stays generally kind of on the mild to chilly side for these next several days. Friday, South Central U.S. still the place to be for warmth, but as a whole, heading into the weekend, we're going to see that mild weather suppressed farther south. This is Saturday, and I'll show you Sunday as well. And Sunday's a good picture of that. That mild weather, it does begin to build back in the west, but generally speaking, we don't see it reach as far north this week. So if you live in the northern half of the U.S., I wouldn't get too excited about the spring feel that we've had, but certainly it doesn't look cold, so to speak, anywhere either. As we talked about in my forecast for March, the back half of this month is going to be and does look pretty mild for most of the country, with the exception of the Northwest. Okay, guys, we'll wrap it up there. Remember to ask your questions in the comments. Be sure to subscribe. If you like the video, like it and all that stuff, and you want to check back for more updates as we continue to keep an eye on any active weather, especially severe weather, as we move through the next several weeks. And I'll see you here next time.